What's up, everybody? It's Babyyy Productions here, and today I want to just show you the face behind the voice. And in addition to that, we're going to start doing something else. I'm going to start doing kind of like a live report, and in addition, we'll have highlights related to the story I'm talking about in the background. And that's another cool thing. I can do things like this now, and something will show up there because I'm a super cool editor. You know how it goes. But anyway, let's get right into things. So the first thing I want to talk about is Jon Bernthal becoming the new Ghost Recon. Now, I don't know if you guys remember how well Michael Mondo worked out as the main guy, Vas Montenegro, in Far Cry 3, but I'm looking for a very similar performance. I expected from him so many good movies out of this guy, from The Punisher to being the best character on The Walking Dead in the 2 seasons he was there, Shane. Wind River, he was great in that. There's just a lot of things that this guy's good at, but mainly he plays a role that is perfect for a Wildlands 2 sequel, you know, a Wildlands 2. So, main thing we get out of this is they're taking a different direction. I think we're going to have a little bit more character in this sequel than we did in the first one. The combat's always been good, but hopefully this is a sign of better character development and the story overall. Because El Sueño was kind of shitty. I mean, let's just be frank, let's just be honest about it. Next thing I want to talk about is Rage 2. So I'm seeing a lot of the reviews on Rage 2, and it seems like it's doing pretty well. And the gameplay looks awesome. We have some of that going on in the background. Now, what's going through my head is what's gonna make me buy it. I feel like this game lacks an identity to an extent. It seems lost somewhere in between Far Cry 5 and Doom. It seems to be lost somewhere between these two. And the thing about it is, to use an analogy, it's kind of similar to, there's an MMA fighter named Kevin Gastelum. He is too big for the lightweight class 155, but he is not big enough for the welterweight class at 170. So he kind of finds himself somewhere in the middle and can't really define his identity. And to use an analogy, that is exactly how I would describe Rage 2. There's many cool improvements as it seems to have. The color palette, the weapons in general, the sound effects are freaking awesome. But it just it's going to get lost somewhere in the gray, which happens with a lot of great games that can't really, solidify their identity to everyone else in the community. Next, I want to talk about a classic, a fan favorite of mine, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. And this game really had like a perfect atmosphere, the character into the world, and the story told is just, it's something you can be like, wow, man, I can see why Abe wants to get the hell out of there. Well, they do a really good job of developing a somewhat creepy, darker game, and it's kind of like, if you can't tell with the trend of my games, The Darkness, Condemned, Gears of War to an extent, I like these type of dark, gritty atmospheres, and Abe's Odyssey falls right in there. Now, what made this game what pushed this game in that category is, you're an employee at a meat processing plant, and then one day you overhear something you shouldn't, you go somewhere you shouldn't, and you end up realizing, Abe ends up realizing, the player ends up realizing, that the meat at the meat processing plant he works at is going to switch to his species and essentially cannibalize them. So that's where the urgency comes in, but it's actually pretty gruesome the way they're just cutting these guys up and turning them into, tasty cakes, crab cakes, things like that. The amount of games that have been remastered from the original PlayStation 2 era, and the original Xbox 360, it just goes to show that people will pay to live their old memories over again. And Abe's Odyssey is it's doing that, but it's upping the ante. I'm hoping this is going to be a mascot revival, and we'll start having more Abe's World, Abe's Odyssey to go, possibly every other year. That'd be fantastic, but one thing at a time. Check out how cool this trailer looks. Check out some of the gameplay. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. And lastly, we're going to get to my favorite topic, of course, Gears of War. So there was an interesting concept art that got released, and it's possibly the leaked Gears 5 cover. Now, we don't know this for sure, and in my opinion, I'm hoping it is not for sure, and by the end of this, you'll understand why. So, a big part of the game was discovering what is going on with Kate, what happened to her mom Reyna, why she has this locust symbol. Yada, 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 all that story stuff we know. Now, on the cover, or fake cover, of this concept art for Gears 5, Queen Mira is pictured in the cover. Now, that just feels like a spoiler on the cover of the game. Yes, we all want to know more about the Swarm Locust connection, how it relates to Kate and Reyna, because they're obviously all related somehow. But to give away a potential huge reveal just on the trailer, I mean on the cover, I don't know about that one. We didn't even know if we're going to see anything involving Queen Mira. I was hoping for flashbacks. I was not hoping to find out that she is definitely going to be featured in a flashback through a leaked cover art, months prior. Now, obviously, we're not going to know any of this for sure until about the latter part of 2019, coming up after August or so, probably around October 15th, November 15th, original emergence day time. That's when I think we'll find out for sure. But one thing that we don't have to wait for is the Gears E-League deal. Now, starting on TBS on June 24th, Gears competitive esports play, whatever you want to call it, competitive Gears of War, is going to be on TBS Friday night, 11 o'clock. Don't miss out because it's awesome. Now, the reason why this is so big is because obviously you're growing the hype for the game, but it all leads up to a climax of the premiere of Gears 5 multiplayer. And I think we will get an answer to this cover art on that date, which is July 13th to 14th. Obviously, all the Fridays of TBS Gears E-League will lead up to this one, like I said, on July 13th, 14th. But this way it helps grow the game itself, build up some hype for that next competitive multiplayer, and once it's revealed, it's going to have a lot of people pretty excited. Once they get a little taste of it, and then nothing for a month's on end period of time, they're going to be pretty feisty for when that game finally comes out. So that's one thing I'm really excited for. We're going to follow the Gears E-League deal and the other games I listed before as this goes on. But in the meantime, thanks for coming to the first broadcast. Like I said, you finally get to see the face behind the voice. And any games that you guys want to talk about, any news that you think is important, or things that you don't quite understand, drop it in the comments section because I'm going to look at it. I always love making content around what you guys are interested in. So thank you guys once again. Welcome, the introduction, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.